focused compared to like.
Absolutely.
All right, so this is the first podcast here. I got my first guest, Esteban. How do you pronounce your last name?
DeCorazon.
DeCorazon. And we're here now, and I'll read my little preamble first here. So the goal of this podcast is simple. It's to help as many people as I possibly can. I believe becoming enlightened individually and collectively can solve our major problems of the world. The podcast will have guests from all spiritual walks. Those who are leading an altruistic or peaceful life will tell us their story for inspiration, wisdom, and advice. This is meant to break down biases and condemnation of different spiritual practices while promoting peace and love. People of the world who are ready to make a change should encourage and respect the spiritual and or religious activities of all members of the human race, so long as we teach personal freedom, liberation, and or salvation. Moreover, peace, love, forgiveness, and harmony can exist between groups and all people. All spiritual practices should be accepted and respected, period. However, we do employ a system of checks and balances in order to question and prevent abuses of power within a spiritual or religious organization. So forth, any and all criticism will be conducted in the appropriate manner with respect and dignity. If large numbers of people could cooperate with each other and drop any contempt prior to investigation of differences between their ideologies, then we as a society can awaken. A worldwide spiritual movement is of critical importance in this day and age, and it's going to take all the countless variations of people and spiritual practices this world contains. Please join us, and thanks for watching. All right, so you want to tell us a little bit about your story? I know you're involved in the Portland Psychedelic Society, and there's been you've been doing talks at several colleges around, and you want to just
So I was helping out for a long time, volunteering with the Portland Psychedelic Society. They've had all kinds of people come through there. Paul Stamets is coming this September 20th. I believe it's a PSU. So Oregon Psilocybin Society, which is ran by Tom and Cherie Eckert, which are great people, along with the Portland Psychedelic Society, are hosting Paul Stamets at PSU on 9/20 for the National Psilocybin Day. And so that's going to be a huge event coming up in Portland on 9/20, and that event really is taking shape. National Psilocybin Day and promoting psilocybin is now, especially for Oregon, it's become a forefront because of the legalization efforts and everything else. And then, my own self, like I kind of been bouncing around in different areas of it, from facilitating in the past to my own practice to volunteering with groups to speaking and presenting at Southern Oregon University recently for the Exploring Psychedelics Conference hosted by Martin Ball. And then also was just recently at the LAPS Conference, which is the Los Angeles Psychedelic Science Symposium at UCLA. And that was one of the largest of its kind at a college of that stature. And so it was a really exciting event. Dennis McKenna was there, Hamilton Morris, a lot of good guys like my friend Greg Lawrence, who works with Ibogaine and so on. Like these really knowledgeable people. It was a great time, and I got a chance to just do like a side presentation with the poster and stuff, and even had a chance to, like, Dennis McKenna even came over at one point.
Dennis McKenna?
Yeah. And I was a little like I actually came in after like taking a few microdoses of mushrooms because I was kind of like hanging out all day. I was like, I just want to get in the flow of things. And he came over, oh my god! I all of a sudden felt like I was like, oh, right around the neck. Here we go. Okay, time to buckle up.
But what was your talk specifically on then?
So the talk at Exploring Psychedelics was on. It was called Metaphysical Phenomena Approaching the Psilocybin Spectrum. So it was focused on the approaches to psilocybin and psychedelic usage rather than just the substance. So you have a wide variety of knowledge about different psychedelics and especially psilocybin as well and the effects and everything. But it was and the metaphysical phenomena that can occur in certain scenarios, such as while facilitating or while just in journeys with other people in general or by yourself. And but the talk was really, I initially was, and actually I changed my whole speech the night before Exploring Psychedelics. Like I had it all written out, I had it all bullet pointed, and I just don't work that way, So I was in the car with my friend Charles, and he's driving down, and I'm telling him what I'm doing. He's like, okay, we're talking. He starts asking questions. I'm talking. He's like, why don't you talk about that instead? Why don't you talk about that? And then that night we sit in the hotel room, like changed my whole thing. Like, okay, I did poetry and stuff and all this stuff at the event. And so it was just a lot better because I was able to focus more on the practicality of it all. You know, like I've chased the stars, had all these experiences throughout my life, and really it comes back to the practical principles of this being here with it, you know, and how it comes down to family and supporting your family, supporting other families, looking at a child like they're your own, like the detailed aspects I've learned in that spiritual world. That's how I'm integrating it. Right. You know, and like the integration part, I never over time I learned that how important it was, little by little through experiences. Because I always kind of was like, integration, but you never stop learning how important integration is. Because
I haven't even heard that term very much until we were talking earlier. I mean, we could have had a few podcasts done already by now, and with all our talking, we had some really good conversation earlier about all different kinds of topics. So hopefully we could cover a lot of that now. But you were talking a lot about integration, and before we get any farther, I don't know. A lot of people might not understand, the role psychedelics play in, spirituality and different. There's different religions all over the world, and then there's different spiritual practices. And one thing I've learned is, there's the tribes in the Amazon, right? And they have ayahuasca and all that other stuff. But I think psychedelics as a whole has been around for a long, long time, and it helps like reshape your mind, everything. So you can really step back and reanalyze your whole life and reconstruct and get rid of all the things that you don't want part of your life and things that go. I mean, it's a very big tool for spirituality, and so psychedelics, if used properly, can really do a lot of good, and help a lot of people. And so that's what we're here to talk about, and you're heavily involved with the scientific and the proper way of conducting yourself when you're doing psychedelics to produce that, the psychic change and the the therapeutic value of the psychedelics.
Yeah, it's like there really isn't like a handbook to that kind of stuff. And there's not a handbook to like even spirituality. Like there might be some scriptures to go off of, but really like it's person to person that the information and the experiences go through, because there's only so much you can read through a book until you actually have your own experience, and that's where the rubber really meets the road. Like books are a good start, but then it's like, okay, now I'm experiencing it for myself, and you get the feeling, and that depth of that feeling is where the transitions, the perception change, and everything. It's the feeling that's what rearranges for me everything. I mean, I can think myself through 1,000 different scenarios and 1,000 different things, and rationalize and reason with things. But the feeling is the feeling, and the feelings are. That's why people say love is the answer. Love, because these are feelings that transcend, and it goes beyond just this physical presence. If you believe in like an afterlife or whatever, or eternity, the feeling is the vibration. That's the resonance,
right?
And that's where it carries through.
Absolutely, yeah. And then I'm practicing Buddhist. I have my own thing, and there's like a structure to it, and there's certain things I do, but there's people with like you, for example, who have your own way of practicing spirituality, that's with other substances, psychedelics, and that's, you have your own process, and that's what you're talking about, approach, and I'm not familiar with that, so
yeah, I mean, to me the approach has become the most important part. Like I don't really go off of for me it's more about the approach than anything else, really. I mean, because that's the substance is so important, because there's all these things that, like mushrooms, giving me information and giving me insight that it's unimaginable, really. I mean, I could meditate for a long time, but I don't know if I'd ever really grasp that. Sometimes not even meditation isn't even the only aspect of it. It's like open-heartedness and just being open to the world, childlike wonderment, and those things. But that really naturally it's just that the catalyst of the mushroom and these types of things, these psychedelics, they show you what things really are, and that for what they really are, and they really are a good way of nature. It shows how aware nature is, that it actually provides these things.
Absolutely, and it's everywhere in nature. They're all over.
And mushrooms really, like we talk about Peruvian culture or these tribes in the Amazonian culture in general, and United States doesn't really have its own real that kind of cult, like that aspect of spirituality. Like they don't have their own real shamans. I mean, Native Americans might have their medicine men or whatever they were called, referred to. Maybe using peyote and these types of things, and maybe mushrooms, but mushrooms are here. They grow here. They grow in Oregon. My favorite grow in Oregon, in Washington, and peyote and these types of things grow out, in the United States. So, this is our opportunity to, especially mushrooms. They grow naturally here. I believe nature is aware. I believe nature is conscious. I know it's alive. I think everybody agrees on that. But I know it's conscious as well, and I believe that it's more conscious than we are currently, and it's providing these things for a purpose. When the subtleties of magic are just in that form, and that's why I like picking them and eating them too. I feel like the synchronicities just all line up, and it's like that's the important part. It's not like because I taste the spirit. I really couldn't. I don't know if I could tell the difference between when I handpicked and when I was indoor cultivated. I'm not sure, but it's just the practice of that, the approach of that is the synchronicity to it, and how things all kind of align anyway, because it's the intention,
Yeah, it's kind of like the ritual without the ritual.
Yeah. Yeah, the reverence to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on. Okay. Yeah, so that's so I was kind of curious about your approach and everything. So how did you get involved in this whole world?
Yeah, because when I was in my late, I was always involved in spirituality first. Like I always was fascinated with spirituality before I got into psychedelics or anything. And I started having Ouija board parties, gatherings at my house when I was like 12.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just into it initially, and and down that road. And we would do it, and my father would be like, "The hell are you doing in there? Don't go bringing ghosts in this damn house." Like, he's not even into that stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." And we all scared him. Half the time, the neighborhood would be like, "Can your dad walk us home?" I'm like, "I'm not waking him up. You knock on his door and go piss him off." And we were playing that, and I had a lot of. I always was like, I want to see it to believe it. I really need to see it to believe it.
Where was this at?
In New Jersey. Yeah, so I was in Jersey in the burbs, and in the Italian burbs of Jersey, just complete, the stereotypical part. And so I was doing a lot of that. I got involved with the Christian church, and I was going to church a lot, and I really had a lot of fun at the church. They had skate parks, and we would water rafting, kind of trips to keep the youth involved. Yeah. And it was really cool. And then, and I was fine with it all. I had a good time with it. I went to church, probably hung out with the church crowd more than school. Going to school. And so I was going to there a lot and doing the youth groups. And then I wanted to get into missionary work. And so I went to college for missionary work, and I was doing so my first mission trip in Honduras, I never felt comfortable with evangelical work. I never honestly read the Bible, so I was like, I don't know, I don't know much to, I just want to help and people and do construction, and so. But that's what I was doing. And stuff, yeah, so that's what I was doing, and I was in Honduras, and I had this really profound experience happen where. This tropical storm came, and we were in a village where there was they were living in huts and stuff. It was just a village, and the ocean's right there. So everybody runs into the compound where we were staying next to the hospital, and they close the doors. And the storm's howling, lightning shooting down, thunder, it's whipping, and the rain's sideways at this point. And I just went out in my shorts. I just had this urge to just go outside, and I'm just outside looking around. And I just run down to the ocean. So I just run down there barefoot and go down. All the people recognize me. They're familiar, and they're seeing me through the hut. They're kind of laughing like nuts, like this crazy American. And
No psychedelics.
no, nothing. I was about 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
And so I ran down and went down to the ocean, and the storm is just going nuts. It's a real tropical. It's a tropical storm, and it was just really heavy. And I see the lightning in the distance, and the mountains off to the side. And I just walked out in the water, and I put my arms out like this, just no reason, just doing it. Just I don't know, felt like it, and just walked out, way out in the water. I'm like waist deep, and all of a sudden everything stopped. Everything stopped moving. Like the water stopped moving, the rain stopped, the thunder stopped, and all that was going off was lightning in the distance. And I'm standing there, and I had this state of consciousness hit me, and I'm just like, and I stood there, paused, and it lasted maybe like 10, 20 seconds at the most, not even 20, like 10 seconds. And after that state of consciousness stopped, everything slowly started gradually coming back again. And I remember I just walked back on the beach, and I didn't know what to think. I'm like, God, I don't know. And I sit on the beach, but I was so open-hearted at the time. I just wanted to help people, everything. I didn't know meditation or anything. I used to do a lot of prayer, for myself, but just my own thing, my own head. And sat on the beach, and I remember I just passed out. I fell asleep, and the rain had didn't really come back at that point. So I fell asleep, and I woke up to a baby calf licking my face, and I remember I was just like, ah! I was screaming, and the thing jumps and runs off, and I just get up, and I'm like, whoa, and I sit up, and I was just like, and I didn't really know what to think, so I walked back to the thing, and I was having a falling out with the group at the time, my ex-girlfriend was there, and she kind of didn't, so they're all like, you're late for dinner, kind of thing, and I'm like, okay, and I just had this experience. So we ended up going and seeing sunset after that regardless, and it was the most beautiful sunset of my life, but after that experience, I had nobody to talk to at the church. I couldn't tell anybody, and when I did, they were like, well, Jesus, came to you, and I was like, I don't know if it was like that. It was a state of consciousness. It wasn't like some dude on a white cloud with a toga and muscles and a beard. He wasn't like, here you go. It was different. And so I let it go. But then years later, I got married. My partner at the time, she started getting into the mushrooms and stuff, and we were already. I was going to metaphysical schools and stuff. I was going to mediumship classes, psychic classes, all these things. I was still into that aspect, and I was studying masonry and everything, Freemasonry. Because I left the church and I left everything after that, and but years went by, but I was always still into these things, dabbling. I was a dabbler my whole life, and so she started meditating, doing these creative meditations, whatever it is, Kundalini meditations and she was practicing a lot with that and getting rid of the yoga. And then she, I had done mushrooms, but I was never used it spiritually. I was just
drugs,
party, whatever, go laugh, go bullshit. And so she never did that. She was afraid to take them. She's like, I heard girls freak out, and I was like, nah, you'll be good. So she ends up taking them, and we take them together, and she goes upstairs and closes the door and meditates, and I was like, she's a boring one to trip with, shoot, and then I go meet my buddy, and we're just shooting the shit, and then she comes downstairs with tears streaming down her face, and she's like, it's beautiful, but we both didn't know, we didn't know what she was really experiencing. We're kind of okay, and cool, yeah, for sure, and she's trying to convince me. I'm like, no, I totally think that, because I was into spirituality, but I was like, no, okay, all right, I'll try it. And so 5 months go by, and this year, there's not an abundance of mushrooms. I'm like, I gotta call Jay and Silent Bob up real quick and go behind 7-Eleven and go find these things in a plastic bag somewhere. So we finally get them again, and we go to a beach house, and she's had this whole thing set up with meditation room and everything at the beach house. And she's like, this is what we're doing. She had a playlist, everything. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go to the ocean real fast. So she's like, no, we gotta meditate. But we went out to the ocean. We went out and sat there, and we were both on mushrooms. And it was initially this coming up, and all of a sudden I could see the fabric in the sky, the intertwining these translucent lines in the stars. And I'm like, wow. And it started building to the point where I could see it coming down to me. And I'm like, this is something this is probably a hallucination, Okay, and I'm standing there and I'm moving with it, and I'm like, do you see this? And she's like, yes. I'm like, you see this? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, what I'm seeing, these lines. She's like, yes. And I was like, I'm like, okay,
right?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well that means something then.
It
So I'm like, the wheels are spinning, like confirmations are kicking in, and then she's like, let's go meditate. I'm like, right now, like this is like, we have this going on. This is incredible. And she's like, you promise you meditate? And I was like, okay. So we go in and meditate, and she guided me. She literally put on the music. This band called Helios, which we didn't realize at the time was from Portland. Actually, they're a Portland band. We're still there, and so we meditate. She just, boom! I just hit samadhi, the state of samadhi with her, and she guided me to that state of samadhi and built that, created that space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was holding space, and that was my first form of shamanism from her. You know, like it was really like having somebody guide my experience. You know, and she guided my experience. All these epiphanies kicked in real quick, but it was great. It was like, but then I looked at her and we were both on the same page. And we like, we need to leave. Like, we need to eventually get out of here, get out of our lives, and switch this up. But integration at the time wasn't a thing. So we're like, so the next day I'm like, we need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know, like we need to really leave. And like, you know, this isn't done. And you know, we totally like took missteps and everything, and it took a long time anyway to really get around to it. And,
that was your first gig. That was your first big.
That was my first really big breakthrough with psychedelics.
Yeah.
But before that, like, because like I was you know making DMT, and you know we were doing that on downloads like 2010, 2011. So we were doing that, and it was kind of like you know, like I was having these experiences and stuff, but I wasn't having a breakthrough. You know, like DMT was good. It was like, wow, like I saw this and that, and this thing came, and like it was kind of cartoony. It was something, you know, like there's all these things, you know.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah, and like, but we never really had an approach to it. Right. So the mushrooms was really where the approach came into play, because I was guided, and without her approach, I wouldn't have had that experience. Yeah. And I learned, and then from then on, I was convinced that like, okay, there's this. She did something. She created space with that meditation. So then we just focused on meditations with mushrooms. Mm-hmm. And that was it. Like we were using DMT occasionally, but it really sat in the background for a while. It was mostly mushrooms, and then you know we heard about ayahuasca, and we're like, oh, we're gonna try that, you know. And so then we started bringing other people and trying to like facilitate for them the same experience. Yeah. Well, actually, I did, and she was kind of like, you know, not really. She was doing her own work. Yeah. And so I was like bringing people to the same beach house, like trying to set everything up the way she did. And I used her playlist, and it never panned out the same. It was always like the first one was like a scary experience because we saw like a shadow thing on the wall. Like, I was like, oh man, I was like, what's going on? And
you got some bad vibes.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like opening the sky up, man, too far, too wide without the knowledge. Right. But yeah, and then overall we just. You know, just stayed on that path and been on the entheogenic path ever since, and both still are, and it's just broadened from there to all different aspects of doing. You know, I thought that you know all of them were going to be that meditation was going to mean that I was going to go to this direct spot, have this state of consciousness every time. That wasn't the case, and every time I tried for it, it wasn't the case. You know, but I went through what I needed to go through, and the shadow work, and all these things that. Were uncomfortable. I still appreciated it. I was still fascinated by that because I was like, "What was that?" Right. You know,
the shadow work. You mean like working on yourself and all that?
Self and the phenomena. Like, because I was then at that point I was taking these. I was like renting cabins out in the middle of the woods and like doing it that way and stuff. And there's things that come out. Like if you go into seclusion with these things, in meditation, you'll start to see certain things. Like there is phenomena that occurs. There's lights will start to appear in the woods and stuff and float around and move around and everything. Not hallucinations because I've seen it with multiple people.
I know. I've had the same thing happen with me and my wife, and she was stone cold sober, but I was on acid and I was on mushrooms, and we seen like lights like moving around in the sky.
It's very common.
It's crazy. It was almost trying to connect with me like telepathically, and she was like, "Wow, this is really crazy." And we've seen it 3 times. The kids seen it and everything. It's pretty bizarre. It's
bizarre stuff, and it's stuff that people don't really talk about. Even at the conferences, nobody's talking about it except for me, because I have no credibility. It doesn't matter.
Right,
like, whatever. I'm writing poetry, like
so,
whatever. Yeah, I'm not like worried about it. But yeah, it's something that I was surprised wasn't. So then I got to Portland, and I was like, I want to get involved with. I want to form a psychedelic meetup that's a metaphysical meetup that's like talking about phenomena, talking about these things. But that's not how it went because nobody was able to relate this.
Really?
Yeah, like I felt like I was pretty much like one of the only. Like, every once in a while, somebody would come about, but they weren't even willing to like really talk about it from a group.
They just don't want to be
criticized.
Yeah.
And so I was just the only one that was like. And my intention initially, I was like, I'm gonna film this stuff. Like, like, yo, I'm gonna get this to the masses. Like, this. Of course, guys
doesn't work
like nah. Pull the chips aside. And was like, yeah, dude, you're gonna have to actually. Like, you're the one who's gonna be filming yourself go through hell right now. If you try, and that's what happened. I started having these experiences, but they were like, scary. They weren't necessarily all like just light and love. But that was so beneficial for me because it humbled me to the point where like now when I sit out. I don't form circles of protection and stuff for that reason because I know myself now. I know who I am and where I'm at, and I'm very real with myself. And I'm not seeking. I'm sitting and I'm listening.
Yeah,
and I'm just listening, and I'm open to everything. Like if something's dark to me, then what am I to something light? I don't know. That's how I perceive it. I question that. I'm like, well, it all has its spot under the sunlight. I'm just grateful that it even presents itself to me, that it's even around, that it's even here, because if it wasn't,
even all that darkness and stuff too, yeah, you could be an example of, right?
Yeah, it's like in darkness usually shows up a little easier with people that are trying to dabble in Ouija's and all these things. It's a little scary, and because I think my opinion is, this is just an assumption, that things from a lower vibration want to gladly rise in vibration.
Yeah.
But things from a higher vibration really don't want to drop their vibration, So it takes a little more, and it's also where we're at. It's a reflection of our own psyche, where we're resonating. So where we're resonating is most likely what's going to appear.
Yeah. No.
And so, at the time, I wasn't self-aware, so it made me self-aware. Time and time again, why is this happening like this? Why is this happening? Kind of questioning, like, well, and then that's for me. That was the work. I did the work, man. I sat out through my fear. And it was outer phenomena fear and inner phenomena fear. Like I wasn't sure, unknown. Am I losing my mind? Who knows? But it kept going, and then eventually things kind of evened themselves out with the experiences where I was able to really like understand, like I'm going in and I feel this way. This is probably like how I feel good. Like this is all right. And I would sit out, and it was perfect.
It takes somebody really dedicated to working on themselves to go in that direction and go that far down the path.
Yeah, for real. Well, and then
that's good.
And then the heightened states of consciousness came later. Like after that, I had another one years later after staying in an ashram for 2 months, practicing puja ceremonies every day, walking around, like like whatever chants they're doing. And we did it, ate raw food, and it was healthy, yoga, and kriya, and breathwork. And after those 2 months, I went out to the mountains, had the most profound conscious metaphysical experience in my life where like I never really read much about spiritual, like the only spirituality I really learned was like interpersonal, where it was like a teacher would be like, well, you sit like this, you do this, and that's how I learned. I really never read into things too much in the books, and Gaia, I never had any clue who Gaia was. I was from New Jersey. Gaia is not a thing, and that was a TV show, but then it was like it wasn't a thing out there, and so I didn't know what Gaia was. And I learned about Gaia in the mountains. I had a connection that happened, and many people have. The Gaia connection, and it told me its name, Gaia. And I remember I was with somebody else.
Really?
And we both went back the next day, and we went on Google, and we're like Gaia, and he just looks at me. He's like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "Mother Earth." Yeah. And I'm like, "What?" Oh, let me see that. And I'm like, "Wow!" I was like,
"Yeah." No, there's so many. Like, I was brought up, in Christian faith, and I had some really good experiences, at church and everything, and some profound, when I was a kid, that I really felt, God, around me. But, there's a couple of times where I've done psychedelics. It's just so far beyond, like, it's like, okay, this is it from here on out. It changes your whole world, your whole perspective, and then you can put other things in place. Like, and then if you have a religion, then you can put that in there. But like, you need that really true spiritual experience that you can only find, I think, through certain altered states of consciousness.
I think religion is important. I think that I think that the religion creates an approach. Like without us doing the Hindu stuff and going to the Buddhist church or chapels or temples, and like seeing that and going to the metaphysical schools and like sitting there doing the mediumship helped a lot because it really helped me. Like I was always into intuition and psychic stuff, so like it really helped me. Whether people believe it or not, it's still a meditation. It's still a practice. It's like so you're still focusing. So regardless, it doesn't it's still a worthy approach. And even my Christian faith, like prayer was a meditation. You're like praying an intention. It was a prayer. It's an intention. It's a straight intention prayer, and so it's a healthy form of as long as you're not caught up in the social aspect of the dogma and everything. Fortunately, I never was, and so it was just like I was just using prayer for myself, and I was like I would talk to God, and I still use that. I still do that because I like it, and that's it. Like I like beer. I like a lot of things, and I just like to do things that work for me. And when they don't serve me, I just stop doing them. And prayers always stuck around because it always was beneficial. It always made me feel good. It always made me feel happy and feel confident. And breath work and all those things made me feel better.
Right. Yeah. It's the end of the day. That's what we're trying to like tap into, right? Is that
nature's providing this. It's like nature literally provides the mushroom. So like it's got it. Like, and for me, mushrooms, it's like all these psychedelics kind of have a process to them where they're like either extracted. Even cannabis needs to be heated to have that effect. Where mushrooms is not the case. Mushrooms is one of the only ones where it's really direct. It's like pick, eat. If nature's conscious, if nature's aware, and if nature does things for a purpose, then what's the purpose for that? It's like, well, there's got to be something to mushrooms.
Absolutely.
That for that reason. Even ayahuasca needs to be blended and cooked, and doesn't mean they're not just as valid, but there's more of a cultural setting behind that because of the process, I think. Whereas mushrooms, there's not a whole lot of besides in Oaxaca, these mushroom shamans. It's mostly in America. It's been used in all kinds of methods.
Right.
But it's because of its directness, and nature's just fucking eat it.
And it has. Terrence McKenna. No, it's fine. Terrence McKenna, and oh my gosh, he's saying it's like it's conscious. It'll talk to you, and it does. That's how I got into Buddhism. And I was I didn't know what I called myself my whole life, but I knew there was something out there. I knew that the normal way people live, a selfish way of living, is not the answer. And I see a lot of that going on in life, and I see a lot of merit in virtuous, kind acts and good deeds and stuff like that, and so, and I've always looked for that, in different areas, and it's there in the Christian church, it's there in Hinduism, it's there in Buddhism, it's, but until I really, I think it took the psychedelics to open me up to, the reality of everything, with my perception on life, the way, my life was, up until a certain point, I was always conditioned. We're all conditioned, and we're fed all this stuff our whole life, and we think all this stuff, and then you take 5 grams of mushrooms, and it just shatters everything. And then you start from square one. You're like, okay, now I can use everything I've learned in my life and start somewhat over and mentally with the mushrooms. And I love the mushrooms. That's how.
It's so funny. Everybody's like, I love mushrooms. Yeah. It's nobody's got qualm with mushrooms.
I had to talk to somebody the other day, and
I should say nobody.
Yeah,
I do that a lot. I speak for nobody in the world doesn't like mushrooms.
Well,
it's well, it's a good minority.
He was a college student. I go to the university, and the other day I was talking to. He was another guy that went to the Dead concert. I went to the Dead concert a couple weeks ago, and
nice.
And he was talking about I went and all my buddies were on acid. And that was a good time, but I was pretty sober. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, I don't mess around anymore. I took a bunch of mushrooms a while back, and I just had a really bad trip. I won't do anything anymore again. It's like He's like, but I'll mess around with acid sometimes because it's just fun, you know.
It's a straightforward thing.
Yeah, and that's what I used to think too. I used to think, well, acid's just like a fun thing, you know, and the mushrooms has this huge downslope where it twists, and then you wind up in a spot where sometimes it's not comfortable, and things get brought up that you don't want to see. And
that's the beauty of it for me. That's my favorite part about it.
I think so too.
It's like that brings the spirit. I sit there, man. I go there with myself, man. I've had, even after all my epiphanies and stuff, I've still had things go wrong in my life. For myself too, like I wasn't even in line with myself, what I was, my actions. And I remember, like, I know I'm facing it. I just go to the mountaintop, and I'm just like, okay. And I go there, and I'm just like, like it's a feeling, it's an art form, you know. It's like it's so good to know that you know to be okay to go there and accept it, and just accept it. It's a spiritual warrior, you know. It's like to me, it's like a spiritual warrior. Yeah. You know, you're going in and you're not necessarily a war or anything like that, but you're
facing your inner demons.
Yeah, but you're like you're you know, it's that bravery, that courageousness, and you know, Terence McKenna mentions that as well. I don't really like, you know, go too in depth with Terence McKenna, right. but you know, I mean, you know, like he's right. Nature does side with courage, you know.
Absolutely.
And vulnerability.
Right,
You know?
and if you're ready to go there and you want to face those problems and stuff like that, there's a fun ride that goes along with it, you know. And that's what I love about the mushrooms. So, that's how it started off with you, huh? With the big.
Yeah.
So then, what else did you do? You started. You said you were doing construction, right? You said you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've done
for that, and then
rehab homes and stuff for work, and then I ran an amusement company out of college. That was like a tent rental business with bounce houses and stuff. And I did that for a long time. And I like that because I like working around kids. I still like working around kids. And for me, like the more I do psychedelics, it's like it just every time it's like help the children, it's like it's constantly pushing me. It's like after my integration process is always like this comes back to family. This comes back to the youth. This comes back to real solid family community.
I was thinking, what can I do for my kids? That's
on a real level, you know, like, and a lot of people maybe not be able to. You really can't imagine being a parent if you're not a parent. It's not an imagine. It's like trying to explain to somebody a DMT or mushroom trip. It's the same thing. It's like, dude, kids are a psychedelic experience. Like, you know, and like, and so it's a very physical psychedelic. It's the longer one of the experiences, I think, because it's about, you know, the rest of your life. But it's.
I'm like, I'm being such a piece of crap dad right now. I need to do this better. I need to do that better. And then I always try. So a lot of times the mushroom trips are kind of difficult sometimes. And, you know, you get emotional and then things come up. And then the next day you're like, oh my gosh, like that went really far. That went deep. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, you know, you're acting different. Things are a lot better. You know, you feel a lot better.
At a higher level. You know, synchronicities coming into play.
It really humbles me. It really takes that part, you know, the ego, the human ego, the self-centered part that's always trying to look for things, you know, for me, you know. It takes that and it just like pushes it aside, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just breaks it up. So then what are you doing nowadays? Like, you know, you're doing the Portland Psychedelic Society for a while.
Yeah, and then I took a side step out of volunteering so much of my time towards the organizations at the moment, and I was like, you know, I really like, my intention when I first got involved with all of this was to film, but not and to focus on what I'm interested in with psychedelics. You know, like if I'm gonna work with psychedelics, like, you know, either I'm gonna be like trying to do service eventually for others, which I hopefully, you know, come about in some form or fashion. Probably will, because I'm just like aligning myself with it ideologically and everything else, my beliefs. So I'm sure it'll manifest eventually. But in the meantime, like my initial intention when I first came to Portland was really getting involved and really like networking, was to film metaphysical, paranormal, and extra. And I said that in the first meeting.
Really?
Yeah, I ate way too many cookies, and like I served cookies to everybody and stuff, and I like was blitzed, and I'm on this like Indian rug, And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, and we're in a big circle. We were circled up for the meetings, and all these people showed up, and they went around in the circle with their intentions. And when it came to me, I was just like, I'm Esteban, and my intention for being here is to film paranormal, extraterrestrial, and metaphysical phenomena while using psychedelics. And since then, I've been like doing that, but none of it really panned out until just recently. We just did a 1.5-month documentary, Vision Quest across America. And so, yeah, we literally just packed a bunch of psychedelics, just Fear and Loathing did across the United States, and just went out eating mushrooms in the Red Rocks in Sedona. We snuck into the Honanke Cliff dwellings, climbed up above. I mean, it's going to be controversial. I'm sure, like a lot of stuff we did was very controversial, but it's about two guys going across. It's trying to figure it out for ourselves, looking for our own guide. No guide, nothing, but hoping we run into somebody open to a guide. Didn't have one, but like, just going out there and just doing it, and then just trying to use these meditations and these practices that we learned over the time to sit out and film this stuff. And like, we were out in the Honanke Cliff dwellings eating mushrooms at 10 o'clock at night in the middle of the Red Rocks, trying to see what happens, with a fire around. We're just meditating, and we're just deep in it. And like, it was funny because
what's a couple of cool, like, anything like really.
So it's funny because normally I have there's a lot of profound experiences. Yeah. But with the cameras and stuff, it was really hard to actually have it, because like then all of a sudden you gotta click off to go, the battery's dead on that one, go change that one, and I go, my click, sit like this, and so it was difficult, and it was just us. And like, and we're just tripping while you're trying to film. And having like 3 cameras, we had like legitimate gear, so it took hours to set up, and it was every day. But it was cool because we interviewed Maps and a PTSD study. We interviewed my friend Paul, who's a forager who had a whole backstory. And so it was really fun going around. We drove from New York to Florida, visited my daughter in Florida, went out to New Orleans, then went out to Taos, New Mexico, Marfa, Texas, danced around in that art community there, went out to then up towards Portland, to the Olympic Peninsula, down to California, and then out to Sedona. So it was a 1.5-month thing, and we just were on the road the whole time.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was good. And but the phenomena aspect, we were expecting all this phenomena, all these things, and we asked for permission ahead of time and stuff, to the spirits. Right. And it was funny. It really was just like, it's like, we thought that we're like, but it was really like, you guys are just going to be filming yourselves. Sitting there, like, figuring this out. And really, the footage came out amazing because it's hilarious, because, like, we had GoPros going. So it's showing the process as well of us dealing with large major cameras on mushrooms, and then that thing works on our own. And it's just two guys, like, bumbling across the United States, like, just doing what they can and trying to do it to the highest level, but dealing with the ebb and flow of everything else going on financially and everything in our lives that are completely not, like, in complete, alignment, but that's the way it is, and that's just it, and I fully accept that, and I'm not embarrassed at anything. I do what I do. I like entertaining people, and I feel like I understand these things to an aspect that I've done my own work, and like, so now it's like, it was fucking awesome. It was like,
the times when you want to go out there and really, look for stuff, and like get it on camera, it's not gonna. They're not going to.
We tried our best. It's like,
and I know
there might be a light in the distance, but it's like on camera. It's like, oh, look at that, and you just seem like a dumbass, because it's like the people are just looking at it like, that's a plane, buddy. Like that's it's a floating car.
Yeah, once you start going, I mean, I'm sure it's probably hard to get it on camera when you're trying to look for it. But
it was cool. It went more in depth with our own thing, because like, I'm going through this whole thing in my own personal life, and I got into microdosing because I was battling depression and all these things. Like, I really had a tough past, year and a half, and so part of that was I was literally looking for guidance, and this trip was going to be that. It was more or less just like because we didn't realize how physically demanding this was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, on the road, running out of money, like, trying to figure out ways to make money. I don't want to say how we had to figure out ways to make money. And, like, and then, like, also, like, being on the road and just having to do this film and, like, having to come up with all these ideas and itineraries and, like, all these things. And we're out in, like, the Olympic Peninsula doing all kinds of whatever, filming people and stuff, and realizing we got to be like in Santa Cruz tomorrow for the PTSD interview, and we're booking it down there, and we're just like, coffees and like, and like, but it's
mushrooms and coffee.
Yeah, but the whole thing was the whole thing came out awesome. Like we showed people and they're like, you got gold. So we're gonna work on it more and just build more of a dialogue this time. Right?
That's great.
Dialogue was a little difficult to build on that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
When is there time for us to sit down and be like get in depth with each other? We're like, but a month and a half after that, we're like I just want to like smack you right now.
Yeah.
Even after all those like beautiful experiences,
Right.
Not all of it. It was tough.
No, that sounds awesome. And then is that you're gonna do something with it? Is it gonna come out later on?
Yeah, we're in editing process now. It's gonna probably take about 6 months, something like that, 8 months. It's gonna take a little while to edit it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you were saying back. Oh, let me check this real quick just to make sure that this is still. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it went black. It's the first time recording. So, yeah. So you're talking about microdosing and stuff, and so what are your thoughts on microdosing? I'd like to hear that.
Yeah. So I don't have a whole lot of experience with LSD, and that seems to be a very popular substance of microdose for the workspace.
A lot of people.
I don't have that kind of job where I never had a job where my workspace was a space. Like I kind of did whatever I wanted to do to make money and hustle. So, even my advertising jobs and stuff was like a sales job. So it wasn't really like I didn't worry about being like, oh, I gotta crack codes.
Right.
So LSD wasn't really my interest. But the mushrooms, so microdosing mushrooms. Microdosing MDMA as well. I did that for a little while. I'm not a proponent of microdosing MDMA. I just feel like I'd rather stick with mushrooms, something more natural that's not a neurotoxin. And then DMT played a huge part. I think actually the largest benefits for me with DMT were in the microdose.
Really?
Microdose, the threshold dose approach of DMT. I feel like a lot of it's been promoted as this like, rip it and then rip it,
Yeah.
And like, yeah. And I used to do that all the time. I had no concept of taking small, elongated doses in meditation and stuff. And man, it's like if you can't commit to a full mushroom trip, then this is a great way to do that without the committing part.
Oh,
like you can literally sit with it and get in that flow state and keep tapping it, keep hitting the pen. I use the pen, like
what do you got? Let me see.
Yeah, so this is like a pen of NN-DMT, and so there's NN-DMT, and it's just an easier way to regulate the dosage. So instead, I used to like sprinkle it on a bowl with cereal, and I'd be like, okay, that's probably enough. Whoa,
Right.
It's so hard to dose. And then with you can dose, you weigh it every time. So with a pen, you really can moderate the dosage so much easier, and it's so much more convenient. Because I could be like this, it's cannabis or whatever, and I'm just smoking it, and the effects of taking it in the lower dosage is nice because it helps with anxiety.
Yeah.
It does help with the serotonin levels. It does create a euphoric effect that's very beneficial. And I felt so when I first got involved with microdosing DMT, it went into the Wayland Weekly, like the article came out. And honestly, I was like, I tried it a few times, pretty good. But then I really got into it, and I initially got into it thinking that this could be good for parents because parents don't have the time to. They have way more responsibilities.
Yeah, you can't just trip out all the time.
You can't just trip out, and and microdoses of mushrooms are nice.
Yeah.
But they still don't get you that visual state, the close-eye visual state. And the close-eye visual state is really important to have every once in a while, I feel, because it's kind of that area where, like, things really become malleable, And, like, with mushrooms, you get that, but you can't, if you're taking that and you're having visuals and you're on mushrooms, you're on mushrooms.
Right.
And so with the DMT, I was using it to get those visuals, but not commit fully with a baby and everything,
That's really
and so, and that's just straight up, I was a parent trying to do psychedelics, and it's just a way.
It's a hard thing.
It's like people, anybody has a problem with that, it's like, dude, well, then you just probably don't do psychedelics because like it's beneficial for me. It's my spiritual practice, and
Yeah.
that's just the way it goes. But you know, so I was like, man, this is perfect for parents because like they can go in bed, the baby's asleep, you know, or kids asleep, 8-year-olds, whatever, and they can actually go and take 5 minutes of their time. I mean, you can literally tap this, and then you can, if something happened, you don't have to stay in it. You can, you know, or you can
It's
rip
not
it.
that much. How much do you think per hit? Do you think?
I don't know how many milligrams, but I just know how to base it off of just like how much I'm inhaling. And
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, and it really is easy to.
Like point. What is it? Point one is a good.
100 milligrams, yeah.
It's pretty good. Like
It's a dose.
that's a dose, and then so each hit is like just like a 0.02 or 0.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it depends on. Well, it's not about like how much you took in. It's like how long you hold it in.
Oh, really?
You know, like
Yeah,
you hold in DMT and let it into.
You're supposed to let, yeah, because I used to take the, you know.
Like when you smoke weed, like it's the same as weed. It's like I can take a puff and then I can
They
like
won't
that.
do it. They won't
And
go
then,
anymore.
yeah, but if you let it go in, it'll be powerful. So I just learned by just moderating.
That's really cool. I never even heard of microdosing DMT actually until today.
It's the bee's knees.
And I didn't know about the vape pen either until today. But that's really awesome because that's a big problem. You know, I have with my wife and stuff, with the baby and kids and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's a big commitment to trip for 4 to 6, 8 hours at a time with kids. It's a big responsibility. One parent has to take care of the baby or the kids the whole time, and and let the other person go, or try to get babysitters for all the kids at once and stuff. But that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, like it's
and
really.
Then you think it helps helps moderate, or does it help with it helps go with psilocybin, right? If you microdose with
yeah. Yeah, sure. So yeah, absolutely. That was something I was getting into more recently, like this year, beginning of this year. I started because I was using microdosing psilocybin. I started paying attention to Paul Stamets.
Mm-hmm.
Was trying the nicotinic acid, then the psilocybin, and then the lion's mane and stuff. And it's super beneficial.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, I still want to like do this with other people and have maybe experience, but not like I just don't have time to commit right now. I'm not even in the mood.
Yeah.
And so I first time I tried with another person, which I was doing it on my own, but like I didn't realize how cool it was with other people to try this. Was to take 150, anywhere from 120 to 250 milligrams of psilocybin, which would be like 0.1 to 0.25 of psilocybin.
Yeah.
In capsules, take 1 or 2 capsules of psilocybin, and then just hit the pen, like take a light puff, and then sit with it, pass it, sit with it, pass it, and just keep going back and forth lightly, or even pause for like 2 minutes, let it ride a little bit, and then do it again. And eventually, what happens is, what will happen is if you intend this with the person, it's really focused. It's just you and the other person. You will like collect. You will share an experience. You'll have a shared experience. So the visuals will be shared.
Yeah.
Everything will start sharing together. And then the wave, just like the mushroom waves, the waves are always there. So like mushrooms have their waves. Those waves are always around. It's just that we don't feel them right now.
Right.
But that wave's coming down. But the waves are always around. And so with the DMT, like when that wave, if you keep doing it elongated like that, instead of just one initial blast off, if you just elongate it, the wave will come. And when it does, that's when the shared experience rides in. You can kind of feel it. It's hard to feel because your senses aren't as heightened as the mushroom.
Yeah.
But when it happens, it happens.
Awesome.
And yeah, that's when the magic happens. And then at the end, we started doing, or I started doing, and started using this with other people, where I'll do the rapé at the end, which the rapé is just, most people are familiar with. It's illegal.
I just heard about this. Well, within the last year.
Yeah, and then so the rapé, like I have a boba.
What is it? It just
so okay, yeah, sure. So
first of all, that was. Yeah.
So this is NN-DMT, which is
just DMT, right? People
DMT, yeah.
The molecule is close and similar to psilocybin, right? Psilocybin just has
psilocybin has NN-DMT in it.
Yeah. Okay, that's what.
But it also has other things.
Right.
compounds or whatever. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Alkaloids, wow.
Yeah.
But
Watching Hamilton earlier.
yeah.
So
I think of Hamilton. I'm like, I don't even want to.
No, never mind.
I'll just look like a dumbass. But yeah, so
this right here.
So like rapé is like an Amazonian snuff. Sometimes they put tobacco ash in there and some plants and other things. I mean, I don't know exactly what's in these. This one's new, which you can see I used a lot of because I like it. And then Bobasana is a little stronger. This one's not really tobacco based. This one is. These came from the Mate tribe, which was a combo tribe. So they just handpicked their own. They're not commercialized in any way with selling this stuff. So friends of friends got it and shipped it over.
Like real authentic.
Yeah, real, very authentic, and it's really nice. It's pleasant. The new is like super pleasant. I like to take that one because it's not as tobacco based. So like, I'm not gonna be like, ooh, like kind of taking like chill and like that.
So the tobacco one, you get a feeling like you just like smoked a cigarette or something like that.
It won't give you the nausea like
But
that.
the rush, like if you take a dip or something.
Yeah, it could give you nausea actually, but it's like it's grounding. It's so hard to explain. I wouldn't do it justice. All I can say is it's grounding. Okay. And in ayahuasca ceremonies, they use it to ground people if they're like having a hard time. And I actually considered, and that's why I used it with the DMT at the end, because I was facilitating for a few small like gatherings or parties, like it was called microdose facilitation. And so I was giving people the capsule, so they take a capsule. 2, if they really were like, I really want, I actually want to need the bump, and then we would go upstairs and we would just do the pen. And I'm a big believer when facilitating like professionally. I always take close to the same amount, or at least take something that I can relate the experience.
Yeah.
Enter space with the person.
Connect.
Mm-hmm. And that's important for me. I think it's an important form of guidance, to create that space and relate the space to the experience with the other person. So it's good for confirmation. It's good for integration. And so then we would take the capsules, wait a little while, and some of these parties you're working with like 10 people, so like I'm not gonna take 2 capsules every person would be like, oh, you took one. I'm just like tripping out, So but we just take I would microdose. Everybody else would do their microdose, and then one at a time we just go up there and just hit the pen, go back and forth, get to that state, close eye. I'd let them go as long as they want. Some people just want to sit with this thing for a long time. And I'm like, oh, that's your choice. I mean, I eventually usually give in after a while. I'm like, okay, I got like a few more people after this, so I'm like, I'm not like a machine here.
Right.
But then I'm pretty like moderate anyway. Like I'm not really I would consider myself like a high dose type of, I throw up easy and stuff too, like whatever. And but then at the end we would do the rapé, and the rapé was really used to re-ground the people, like kind of give a sobering effect and a focus to hone in. So like then everybody can go back to the party without like too much drift and go drive home later.
Okay, so that's what it does. It kind of makes you focus a little bit. Grounds you. Wow.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, man, like it would be cool because they use an ayahuasca for that when people are like having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, with mushrooms it'd be interesting when mushrooms really start getting into this counseling sessions and stuff where they're counseling and everything. Because you hear people using like Xanax or something, or they're giving them something to like calm them down.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
No.
Yeah, but rapé is a natural form of that.
Yeah.
And it's a way to like use something natural, and so I tried introducing it to a few people that might are looking into getting into counseling, psilocybin and stuff. And a lot of people are aware of it already. It's legal. It's not like a hard thing to figure out. But I think it's pretty gonna be interesting to see rapé be incorporated in Western American or Western United States culture of shamanism.
Right.
Because right now our shamanism is therapy, and that's okay. But like, I'm more into the spirits and all the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to college right now for psychology, and I'm like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of other help that we could incorporate into the psychology in the West, to benefit people. I think there's a lot of disservice going on with the therapy right now.
But it's in everything, because it's like you go on Instagram and it's like everybody's running a business out of like something. It's like it's crazy. It's like from Tony Robbins' proteges to to who knows, shamans. Like people are like, I'm a shaman. And
right. Everybody wants to jump. I know. Like actually, because I was, started to mess around with DMT and a lot of mushrooms and microdosing and big doses and I'm gonna be a shaman, and then it's like
if it's your calling, it's your calling.
I'm sure there's certain people. I was just getting really,
It's just the intention behind it. It's like, are you doing it because it's a trend and because there's money to be made, or are you doing it because like you really get this on a deep level and it is something that you're in tune with? Like for me, like for a long time, and I still feel this way. I don't like doing facilitations. I prefer facilitations, like micro facilitations that I was doing on my own. I mean, and I would have preferred a female presence, but with psilocybin facilitations, full on. I mean, first of all, I think there should be two people, because like there should be somebody at least like not fully in it, so they can like take care of physically something happens. Dry car, you need to drive. But also, I like having a male-female presence. I prefer it. I think it's actually, I recommend it. I think if people want to get into it, if people want to be a shaman or something and they want to get into it, they should really consider practicing with somebody that they're not sexual with. Even if they are sexual, don't make that your trip. Move together. Focus on the approach and everything. Don't just constantly like have these sexual, keep it as pure as possible. Work together, but find somebody you could actually work with, and that's a healthy situation, healthy relationship. Doesn't mean everything has to be perfect. There can be arguments. It's fine, but like put it away when you're professionally facilitating. And when the people come in, having a facilitation, a meditation, where one person's not on it, or even just maybe a micro of it, the other person's using it with the other people, but it's a male-female presence, and this helps create a balance of energy in the room, helps create a balance psychologically, and it helps create less sexual tension too. So like if I'm doing facilitation and I had a girl come in that's my age, that facilitation most likely won't be as it won't be as focused, and the potential for that divine experience to happen will be less likely because of the lack of focus. Because mushrooms create and when you're in it with the person, the experience is so intimate. And it's like you're sharing this deep sacred space that those things can happen. And so you really want to make sure that you have a female there. And as a facilitator, when we were facilitating, it was like if it was a one-on-one and it was a female my age, I was like, okay, you're gonna facilitate with her. I'm gonna be the one pouring tea and doing everything, kind of staying out of the way. And having that option, having that balance, but being there for the ceremony, being for the meditation, but then leaving where it's necessary to leave, and staying out of the focus.
That's really good. Yeah, I mean, those are things I haven't even thought of, but that makes total sense.
It was a huge factor because
were you like setting these up as like events, or like what? Were you just
like Facebook, like
like
trip in the woods.
Like this is like just friends of yours, or was this like an actual thing?
No, it was because I was hosting meetups, and so the people would come, and some people would just come, and word of mouth, we were real quiet about it. And we ran into somebody that was like genuinely like, I'm afraid to do this alone. Like I want to be guided. I need some guidance.
So this is not just for like enthusiastic people that want to.
No, we were totally doing it for people that were genuinely.
Oh, that's so awesome! Yeah, see, that's a lot of the reason I wanted to do this podcast is for people that don't know a whole lot about different, spiritual avenues, and that right there is exactly that's I really think there's a lot of value in psychedelics, and you coming on as a guest, you can explain to people, it's not this evil bad thing. It's actually quite the opposite.
Well, there's loops, twists, bends,
you
and
get
folds,
crazy every time, and do crazy things, and
it's not always just like this, like that love light aspect and everything being in alignment, and like these things benefit you, but for me, it's been like this, like everything, it'll go and then drop an octave. And then go, and that's the song of my life. It's the way it is. I mean, but like not everything is straightforward love and light. The twists of mushrooms are part of the experience. If I didn't do that work, I wouldn't know how to relate that work to somebody else that's going through it. Yeah. And so now that I've gone so deep into those other twists of the aspects of that, and also had the other experiences to know what their potential is and to know what to look for, but to be wary and be aware of the fact that there are the other aspects, and that's so important for creating space for people, because if they need to get healing, I don't know them, like I don't know their life, and but if they need healing energetically like that, they're going to go into this state. Usually we created space, and it was a very good space to the point where like it was pretty unlikely that they were going to dive into that time.
Yeah.
Usually it was more like just like really like epiphanies of like this whole thing, like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. But then we'd always have to explain to them, be like, yeah, but it might not be like this next time.
Right.
It's always different. You don't know what to expect. And but you can create those spaces, and that's the point of a guide, is really create it and let the person have their experience and hold the space for them to have their experience. You're not guiding or manipulating their experience. You're just holding the space for their experience. And not as a trip sitter, like, are you okay now? But like energetically focusing and creating a resonance and letting it build and letting the energy build in the room. And and then sharing that wave. When the wave comes in, that's the moment. Like, we stay on it. Like if all of a sudden everybody's talking and everything, and it kind of gets out of focus for a second because it's a 5-hour thing.
Yeah.
And then when that wave comes, and as a facilitator, I know the wave's coming. And when I feel, I go, okay, let's get back into meditation, and we'll share into that wave, ride it in together. And then each wave you ride in and out together, it builds.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome.
These are the details of it all, and for me,
so like, to people that haven't done psychedelics before, they're probably like, what is this all about? Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? And, but,
aliens.
But no, really, it's like getting in touch with God, it really is. It's,
source, God,
yeah, the universal mind, because I've gotten into some spaces where I'm like, wow, it really changed my whole thinking. Like, before I would question if there's anything out there, and now I don't question that. I know there is. I don't know.
I don't question. I
don't debate it.
Disclaimer: I believe in aliens. I believe in spirits. I believe in interdimensional beings.
Yep.
I believe in consciousness,
yep.
And I believe in myself. And that's about it. And my own experiences.
No, and that's what I think all religion is meant to be about, right? And so, like, if you can get to that point of, like, what you're saying is the ultimate thing you're looking for, right? Is learning how to just be, and then like have like be part of a family, and have like kindness and helping others and stuff like that, right? So those are just like very basic, simple, good, wholesome things that like all religions teach you, but like you're finding that through psychedelics in a very professional, real shamanic way,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Fortunately, I was born in the United States, and I was fortunate enough to have a family that was cool with the street hustle. So, like, I learned early on how to hustle, and I think part of that always allowed me to get access to what I need to get access to. Because in Jersey, I wasn't fortunate enough to be born in Oregon. I was only fortunate enough to be born in the United States, but I was born in Jersey, so it was what it was. And but I learned that hustle, like, and I was able to get what I needed to get to try these things out, and so I was like, I mean, I'm going to give myself a label. I'm not really going to consider myself this. I'm just trying to. It's just a word, but like I was like a medicine man, like I always was able to get what he needed. And some of the medicines when I was younger, that I was kind of pushing off to people and doing myself weren't medicines necessarily. They're drugs. But I learned, I had to go through it as well. And I was young. I didn't have guidance. I didn't have, my parents didn't care if I went to school. They didn't ask questions. They just like, you were able to pay for your own way and do your thing.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I grew up hustling. And, I mean, for better or for worse, it was what it was. But I learned how to get substances, and I learned always how to do it. And when I was in New Jersey and DMT wasn't available, I found out how to get mimosa. I used Bitcoin. I got what I needed to do, and I got it. Yeah. And I got enough to make sure my friends could try it too. And like that's just the way it went. And then when I got out here, then that was my focus. I was like, because my first time I went to like try, I couldn't find mushrooms anymore. I couldn't find somebody with mushrooms in Portland. Wow. I was asking around, and some dude in the park. Like I went to a park in Waterfront, and I'm like, shrooms. I'm just walking around saying it. Right. And I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, and I was like, I'm just like shroom. And they're like, yeah, I'll be here over here. And then they bring me over. They're like, I got acid. And I'm like, I don't want acid. And I was like, I want shrooms, man. And like nobody had it. And so like the meetups were really the beautiful thing to that for me. And that's the thing with these psychedelic meetups too. I have to be clearly like straight up honest. A lot of attendees just want to find something to find the right stuff.
Yeah.
It's the truth, man. I mean, we're all going there talking about something illegal.
Right.
We can talk about all legal aspects of it and all the integrative aspects, but at the end of the day, a good portion of the people in that room are going there hoping they bump into somebody who's like, hey, I got this, or I can get you this, or I do this, and we do 5-MeO or whatever, and that's what I went for. I was like going to meetups. I was like, oh, this one seems like a place where they'd have psychedelics, So eventually, I just for my own meetup, and I was just like, it's cool if you want to, wheel and deal here because I want to get access just like everybody else, and I want the best stuff.
Yeah.
And like that's just the way it goes, man. That's my spiritual practice, and I don't really care what the law says.
Right.
I don't want to get caught by it. I don't want to get in trouble for it. But my intentions were that I need to keep practicing, and that was
how that's the thing about the law, and it's gonna change here. Yeah, it's on the ballot, right? For psilocybin to be legal.
Yeah, I mean, and whether they win or not, Oregon is such a lenient state, and Oregon never concerned me with mushrooms and stuff because they're so lenient, Yeah. But you go to like Jersey, they don't have a chance. Like there's no shot. First off, there's only 50% of the countries in the United States can even put something on a ballot. New Jersey can't. So like I feel bad for a lot of friends that have back keys. They're stuck, man. They're on the hamster wheel, and there's no getting off. Right. And the only way to put something on ballot is through Senate approval. Yeah. So you can get all the signatures you want, but you gotta get the Senate to sign off on it.
Yeah, if they want.
Which fuck that. I mean, you're gonna be like, we're gonna do psilocybin facilities around here, buddy. Like that ain't gonna happen. And that's why Oregon legalized, and Colorado, they're states that have, I can't remember the name of it, and I used to be involved in politics, but I just forget, probably smoking weed and stuff in my life, who knows. Right. But not to say weed's bad, it's totally beneficial, but it does fuck my memory.
It does. Well, right on. So then you were doing that for a little while. What are you doing? What are you doing now? You're going to be moving here soon, aren't you?
Moving out to Florida. Going out to be closer to the family, closer to my daughter. I'm looking forward to it. I am going to be staying out there and we focus on writing a lot more. I've been writing here, working on a book. I was pretty far into my book and I shelved it because I'm more passionate about poetry. So I refocused everything right now. I'm doing poetry. I'm gonna get a poetry book together first, and then go back to my other book.
So you have a novel kind of on the side right now?
Yeah, and it's just metaphysical experiences through psychedelics in general, and like it's basically my story building up, but then including like experiences with other people that and just including like the also the funnier aspects of like the whole transition, and I really did this in like the most unreasonable way possible. Like I stumbled my way through, and I just kept plowing over the next thing, and jumping over, and then it's like falling on my face, and then getting back up, and then going again, and like I gotta get there. Like talking about a seeker, man.
Yeah, that's how it was.
I had to be sat down and be like, just be it, man. Like, you know, you're running across the globe for this thing.
Yeah,
yeah. But that's the story, and it's
funny,
and it's a good thing. You know, I think people. I wouldn't have been able to change it, even if I know what I know now and told myself I wouldn't have been able to change it because there's no way to perceive the state of being of something, and I still am not the state of being, but the seeking was so heavy, and it was like I really needed those confirmations. You know, I really needed those experiences because I didn't take anybody else's word for it. You know, I didn't, and even I chased the stars, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of it affected me in a negative way sometimes because I went too far with things and kind of like lost touch of like important stuff, and like priorities got shifted, and but I came back and it was just a learning lesson.
Yeah.
And so with that, you know, I think that I just think that overall it's important to just be able to integrate this properly, and you know, and I think the story goes along the lines.
You mean integrate? You mean like just learning lessons and dealing with the inner problems and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but also learning an approach, learning about yourself more. So the integration is like inner focus, where it's like after the experience inside yourself, and hold that approach to the focus you had in mushrooms as much as you can, the same way without them. Where like when you're integrating the experience, instead of just telling everybody about it, you're running around and like, whoa, that was me, and that's what I did. I was like, the British are coming, and you know, but if you just hold the approach you held with the mushrooms to have that experience and carry that same approach over to your integration after the experience, you can actually like really start to understand yourself and really focus on that. And I've seen people do that. I'm like very impressed, and I was like, wow, I need to do that. And that approach goes into the integration. That's why the approach is so important, because it's like you don't need mushrooms 24/7. You don't need mushrooms probably for like 10 years sometimes, or whatever, a year. And so the approach is something you take with you every day. And so you just pick up those little bits, even though we're creatures of forgetfulness, and we forget half our trips and like what the feelings really were. We densify and give somebody the finger on the street or whatever for cutting us off. But like, I mean, some people do. I'm from Jersey, so we do. But yeah, so you know, I think that's the integration process, is like sitting with it, and not necessarily feeling like all the changes have to be right now.
Right.
So that's what happened to me. Like I was like, we're selling the house, we're selling my business, you're quitting your job, and we're getting out of here. We're going to Chile, you know.
Like, you know, a lot of times I get done with a mushroom trip, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm changing everything right now. Yeah. So you're saying that's not always the best idea.
No, and that's the thing. It happens to so many people. Like, yeah. I mean, I've seen it happen in facilitations too, and you know, I just watch it.
You just gotta slow people down, right, and let the internal changes happen.
Yeah, it's like, well, we were just in a meditation. Go back to that meditation now again. Like, don't veer off of that focus you had on the mushrooms. Keep that focus and hold it and sit with it. Don't run off with it, because it's like you're gonna run into a forest of confusion. You know,
that's really true. Yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So, what are your so what are your thoughts? Are you think you're gonna continue to do mushrooms for the rest of your life? And
I mean, I'm gonna do mushrooms,
DMT, and
yeah. I just don't think I'm there yet. You know, so it's like it's hard to say if I'll ever do it for the rest of my life. Like I know I kind of feel like I can kind of grasp somewhat a point where I'd be like, oh, I don't need to do them anymore, but I just don't really know, you know. But I know there is that potential for that point. I just feel like right now I still need them.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering what your thoughts were. So, what do you think as a safe microdose, a good microdose for shrooms every day?
Oh man, I'm not the best to ask that because I always tell people, like, to be honest, like, I like to feel it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, like, I'm not a heavyweight person with anything.
Yeah.
But
I because you know, I microdose, you know, and you know, I'll end up taking a little too much every time, and I'm like,
well, I always say you got to capsule them. If you're not capsuling,
I'm not.
Yeah, if you're not capsuling them, then it's impossible. Yeah, yeah, but the capsules, man, you know, you do this tray of 50 capsules, throw them in a ginkgo bottle,
yeah,
and just like keep them in your car.
That's
like,
true,
you know,
right?
Whatever, yeah. And you just like, you know, unless you're in like Florida, don't keep them in your car. But like, you know, but yeah. Why does your car smell like dirty socks all the time? But yeah. So I say like if they're Q-benzes, 1 to 2 capsules is fine. 2 capsules is that point where like nobody will be able to tell they're on anything, but you'll kind of get that little. You'll grin a little more than
everything kind of.
Like I think like 2 capsules, 250 milligrams of Q-benzes, you won't start seeing anything. You won't get anything, but it'll put a smile on your face, like a grin.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that grin it's like, for me, I can tell like if somebody, because they're kind of like, you know, it's like, and I'm like, oh, you're really happy, like you're on something. But you know, but like most people would never be able to tell.
Yeah.
And but
you can still function.
Right, but like for going out or something, you know, you take 2 and be fine. For actual microdosing, they recommend 50 milligrams to 60 milligrams, something like that, even 30. That's too little for me. When if I need to microdose for medicinal benefits, I need more than 50 milligrams.
Yeah.
I need to get a little bit of an effect to help with the depression, help with anxiety, and really like blanket it for a little bit and let me go.
It makes me feel like I want to be a good person. Like if I take mushrooms, I want to. Oh my gosh, I want to help people. I want to be a better dad. I want to do better things. I want to stop doing things that aren't good for me, or like, you know, oh my gosh. And then if I microdose a little bit every day, I feel like that every day. I'm like, you know, and so, you know, it's a very, very important tool for me in my spiritual practice too. It's not, for me, like Buddhism is my path. Yeah. But psychedelics are a tool, and it helps to get on the path. They help me get on the path and really start walking the path, and then it helps me stay on the path, you know, and it's like, it guides me. So, you know, I'm really interested in the microdosing DMT along with it. I was going to start doing the lion's mane along with the psilocybin, you know, or the mushrooms.
It's kind of a dedication. It's like, I've kind of fallen off the microdosing lately. I was even doing a YouTube and stuff, and like, the people were watching it, and they'd be like, hey, you ain't even doing I'm like, okay, I'm feeling something better. It's day 15.
You know? So I try to do 5 days on, 2 days off, but then when I take the 2 days off, sometimes it turns into 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll start, you know, microdosing.
Yeah, I mean, the microdoses are just good for. It's like, that's for me. That's like a real medicinal aspect of it. Like, it's like when I think of like a medicinal, like when people say medicines, I think of pharmaceuticals.
Right.
And so like the psilocybin microdose is really like that pharmaceutical, that healthy, beneficial pharmaceutical aspect of it, where it's like it's a medicine. It really does have an effect. Like my father started taking it, stopped taking Xanax, his rosacea cleared, everything. I mean, it had a huge impact on his anxiety, and it does that. I mean, that's just what it does, and nature provides. Now it's like the same thing with the mushrooms, like these high doses. I mean, nature also provides everything else, cannabis, hops, whatever. Right. But, like, we choose what we overconsume, you know? And, like, it's not to say, like, just because it's overconsumption of mushrooms doesn't mean that it's not harmful. Like, you won't be harmed by it. But I think that, like, people, it's not necessary to have to take, like, huge doses of these things to have an experience.
No. I know people that have, like, you know.
People talk to me, they're like,
well, 30 grams.
Yeah, it was like the 8 gram is like the tipping point. And I was like, you know, I mean, sure, you're gonna automatically go to the space, but I've learned an approach, and I've been, and I'm much happier that I'm able to obtain those states with a more more moderate dose because I've learned an approach.
Right.
And for me, that's like I could take the approach with me anywhere with any substance. And my approach literally has been the meditations, the breath work, and also my own belief systems, along with, I do go in seclusion. I go out.
I think that's an important thing.
I think so, and I think that personally, I believe that, this is something I just think that, like, there's a reason why Native Americans and everybody did vision quests. There's a reason why people went alone, sat out at nighttime, overnight, and sat with the spirits.
Yeah.
And not many Americans are really doing that, and or even people in the States, and it's such an important aspect. It shifted my spiritual practice so much, and my approach.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me more. I learned more in the mountains than I ever have from people or books or movies or documentaries or anything. I learned alone. Yeah. And that was those experiences sitting out, because when spirits come and things happen, that's the test. It's like, can you sit here and close your eyes knowing that there's something over there making noise and walking around? Can you sit through this? Yeah. And then sit there and like I said, nature provides the courage. And that's the spiritual warrior. You're sitting there. You're like, no, I earned my spot here. I earned my spot under the sunlight, and I'm going to sit through this. And this, I am confident enough to know that I am here. I am my right. Mm-hmm. And I just do it, man. And then the night goes, the stars come out, things start moving around. Things all start and things move around. I mean, you can go groups of people, this will happen.
Yeah,
but the focus is sitting there normally. Like, with 5 people, you're not. Some people are going to be like twirling toy, or whatever, you gotta really, focus, and and that's when everything opens up, and just listen, and just be there to listen. And for me, I appreciate all aspects of it. What's considered good, bad, high, low, that is irrelevant to me. I am there for what is to come and what is around, and I am there to work with it. And that's my own spiritual thing. That's not for everybody. Because it's just everybody is at different points in their life. Who knows? I don't even know if maybe past lives are real, but if they are, that could be something, my own past life thing. Who knows? But I feel that way about it, and I sit there and I try to strengthen whatever is there and work with it regardless of what it is.
Right. No, the microdosing is really, really. I think it helped me a lot. Like, I microdosed for a whole year, but then I would take 5 grams, 5 grams, heroic doses, on the weekends, Yeah. I was going crazy, but I was really searching too, like you were saying, I was really searching, and it broke me free of all that old, I had a lot of depression, I had a lot of problems inside myself that I hadn't dealt with or overcame, and I was suffering a lot, and I got through a lot in my life, and this was the final, really to break through and to really change my life, and that's what in the mushrooms and stuff. Yeah. They really did it. And the microdosing.
Do you want one of them?
I still got some.
Yeah, I just keep packing them.
Yeah. No, but the microdosing really helped me on a daily basis, really get through this huge transition, and then and I was telling everybody, you have to do heroic doses, though. You have to do heroic doses. If you don't, you don't know what you're missing.
Right.
You have to do them, which I think is maybe partly true to some extent. You should
we're getting there.
Yeah. But during that process, I would do bam, huge doses, and I really reprogram my brain kind of, and then afterwards, I don't feel like I need huge doses anymore. And so microdosing is cool, and I don't need to go for that huge.
You have to look for it, there's certain things it's that's the mushroom. I think that's the
But I probably will take large doses more in my life, but I just don't feel the need I have to every weekend anymore.
I definitely like to get to the state of closed-eyed visuals. I think that just getting at least the closed-eyed visuals every once in a while is an important experience to have. I don't care what the dose is. If you're getting closed-eyed visuals, then fine. But that form of the experience is a separate form that really is the heightened sensitivity that's necessary to really have everything become more malleable and for the veil to open up for the experience. And so I'm a big believer in the closed-eye visuals being a factor of being able to tell if like, are we there?
That's the tipping.
Yeah, that's like the
Right
closed-eye
there.
visuals.
Yeah,
I mean, we're the way I'm talking about closed-eye visuals whether you want them or not. You know, like,
Right,
so, like
yeah.
you close your eyes, you're having visuals.
Right.
And like that for me is the important point where it's like, okay, we can keep going, or like we can stay here and that'll be fine. But like if we're not getting closed-eye visuals, and we're that there's nothing where like eating mushrooms, you didn't take enough, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not really, you know, like you gotta get the closed-eye visual
Right.
part to really get the experience to happen and let things flow, and you're able to perceive this energetic effect going on. That's the heightened sensitivity.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna try to explore that and look for that from now on and stuff. And I'm not, you know, I'm definitely gonna keep going for a little while, but I think it's one of those things. It's a very valuable tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'll be consuming psychedelics for the rest of my life or not, but you know, I think it really brought me to this point. And I've talked to so many people that are involved with, like, you know, Buddhism and deep meditation that come from psychedelic paths. You know, and a lot of them don't, you know, still take psychedelics, but they used to a lot, and that's what brought them into their own spiritual practice. And if you have your own, it seems like you have your own method. It's like, it sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, just I think everybody has their own method.
Yeah.
You know, I really feel like everybody has their niche. We're all equal but different for a purpose, you know.
Right.
And like I just am working on finding mine, and you know, that's why I don't suggest anybody taking my approach, because it's like well,
it's all personal, right?
You might find it interesting, but then you might walk away with it and be like, I don't get the point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I say the same thing about somebody else's approach,
right?
You know, so
yeah,
I think everybody's on their own trip, on their own path, literally on their own trip, and so nothing is this way. There is no this way.
No,
like, it's all ways. It's every way. It's every which way, and that's just make your decision for yourself, you know, and that's it. Like, you know, and if somebody's gonna guide you, you can listen to their dogma and you can take to whatever they want, but have your own experience.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what psychedelics will definitely do. And so, yeah. Did you want to?
Sure.
Want to try some of that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did?
I mean, the pen, the rubber.
Oh, yeah.
All that. The smart.
What did you want to do? Let's try this out and then see what time we're at here.
Probably went for a while.
Hour and a half. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna think of so many things to talk about after we're done. I'm gonna be like, why did we talk about this? Why did we talk about that? Oh my gosh, we talked about all this other stuff before the podcast. We still got the weed eater going on outside.
Yeah.
The baby crying earlier.
He's trimming his perfectly managed bushes. Like, they're so perfect.
He's been going at that for a while. Yeah, for the 2 hours now.
Do it by hand.
Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, so the rapé is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I don't know.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good start. But yeah, so you know, the rapé was what I explained earlier. It's the Amazonian snuff. It's one comes from the Mansei tribe, which is a combo tribe, and they pick the plants, and they actually have Bobazana and Nudu here. Nudu is a little greener because it's plant-based, no tobacco in it. The Bobazana does have tobacco, so it's a browner color, a little heavier. I'm going to do the Nudu because I'm just not in the mood for the Bobazana. It's kind of a little, it's like, I don't know, it's like cinnamon. They didn't put cinnamon in it, but I don't know what it is. And like, I don't know. It takes a time and place for it.
Yeah.
I should do a Nudu.
All right.
But, yeah, and then the tools used for this kind of thing are a tepe. So this is a tepe. So the tepe is used for administering to somebody else.
Uh-huh.
So you know, and administering to other people is more efficient for ceremonial use. Yeah, it's just typical to administer to each other. And then they have gripes, which is for self-administration. So like the gripe, you just blow your nose.
Okay.
And then when you take it, do you want to take some too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so I'll give it to you first then.
All right.
This way. Then I'll just take it after you. Do you have a tissue or something?
Yeah, I'll give you some. Just a tissue?
For yourself too.
Okay. Right.
New is pretty cool. It's actually, this is a more mellow one. I figure it's better for the podcast, so it's where we're not both like,
Yeah.
like 10 minutes go by, we're like,
Okay.
I'm coming back. But no, it's not psychedelic.
Okay.
It's really chill. So with the new, or with the rape, you want to, so put some in your hand here. Wipe your hands so it's dry. There you go. Okay, and then we want to do is, so now you want to just hold, put an intention into it or something. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Open your hand. So you're gonna breathe into the mouth when you're ready. First, I'm just gonna do a quick little thing, and then you're gonna, then I'll say, okay, breathe through the mouth. So you'll hold your breath, and then I'm gonna blow it into your right nostril, and then you're gonna.
Oh, I have a deviated septum real quick. I can't breathe out of my right side.
You don't need to breathe out.
Oh, okay, I think it could go up. Yeah.
Well, you don't even want to breathe through
Okay.
your nose.
Okay. Alright.
So we're gonna go up one side, and then you're gonna hold it, and then breathe in and out through the mouth. And then I'm gonna go right to the next side, and you're gonna keep breathing in and out through the mouth. Wait. When I go to the next side, you're gonna want to hold your breath again. And when you hold your breath, and I go to do it, you kind of want to just close your throat off. The whole point of all this is so it doesn't go. You don't swallow it and stuff. Like, it's tobacco. You don't want it going like, in your stomach and everything. You kind of want to keep it in your nose.
Okay.
And then when it settles out, you just blow your nose and whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just breathe, and then breathe. Hold my breath.
Hold your breath, and then I'll go in one nostril, and then you can breathe if you need to real quick.
Okay.
And then I'll do the other one and go in the other one. You just hold your breath again, and All right. So it's just real quick, and then after that, you just keep breathing through the mouth. You don't need to. Don't do like or anything like that. Like, just leave it.
Okay.
But hold on a second. I'll tell you when to breathe. Just sit with it for a sec.
Yeah.
Grounding, right?
Very. Wow.
You can blow your nose if you feel like you want to get out of
It's like in Buddhism, they call it, it's samadhi or rikpa. In Tibetan Buddhism, rikpa. It's when you're just like, you're aware of everything going on and there's no like conceptual thought. It's really good meditation. That's what it seemed like. It just takes me there. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. That's why, like, but then we take it, it's kind of like, it's worth the uncomfortability, you know?
Yeah, it's not really that uncomfortable.
Right.
Eyes are watering a little bit.
Right.
It's like a little bit.
Now, the heavier ones get really intense where they'll, like, kind of ply out.
Really? Yeah.
But it puts you in that.
Really good meditation. It's like your mind's not going on back. You know?
It's good for meditation.
Shuts it out.
And it's legal.
Yeah.
It's legal to buy. It's a little effort to buy it though. You gotta go wait some time for it like goes all around London to here, or wherever. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
I was using it for a while. I kind of bounce around between them all. There's so many, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm learning each one where my beneficial aspects are to it. So it's like, oh, I want to use this one. It's nice to have the array, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll leave you some. I got some with me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I think the first podcast was a success. I was tell you the truth. I said it earlier. I was a little nervous, and hopefully it came out pretty good. And maybe we could get you to come back from Florida on your vacation someday and do podcast number 2 and maybe 3 someday, and have a future contact and
definitely
keep in contact.
Oh yeah,
it's good. So hey, thanks a lot.
Share it out on Facebook and everything.
Yeah, awesome.
Jared.